Hey guys, 3 new maps are just announced for Gundam Evolution. We have Flak Fort, Lunar Comm Station, and Quarry. But what I found while I was compiling the video to show you guys the maps properly is that there's actually a 4th hidden map that they did not actually give us the name for. So, we're going to watch all these, we're going to go through the video frame by frame, and I'm going to try and give you guys as good of an idea for the maps as I can possibly do right now. So, starting off, we're covering Flak Fort here. We have a nice open area. It's really good to see this. I don't want to go too deep into this, but open maps are often very good for the game as a whole, because characters that want to play in tight spaces and closed corridors can oftentimes just use the cover on the map that there is, but it also enables long-range players to play into their play style effectively, as opposed to a lot of tight maps that don't let you do that. I was getting a little bit concerned about the quality of the maps for this game overall, to be honest, when I was making my guides for the other 6 mobile suits. But what I'm noticing here is that it's getting a lot of positive views on how it's looking so far. A lot of nice open space that's good for all different types of characters to play in, requires skill and intelligence to go through. So this is a very, very good sign, instead of just being a bunch of small little rooms that don't allow much counterplay. So moving through it, this looks to be the edge of the map. You can see in the far left corner there's a little red marker, and that is something that blocks you from traveling further past that. So you can't go any further than that. And I'm not sure exactly which portion of the map this is, but I'm assuming it's obviously traveling between one of the 2 points, because this is a point capture map where you have to travel to an objective and take it, and then repeat it again a second time. So traveling between one of those 2 sets of objectives, or from the start, the position onto it. So going into this more, you have this little underbed here. I'm not sure exactly if it's a river or whatever. It looks a little bit like a river on my screen right now, but that's a nice little under area you can go through. It's convenient because, as you'll see further, you can actually cross underneath it to get to where you want to be. Again, you can see in the right corner one of these little blocked off pathways, but directly underneath where Turn A Gundam is right now, you can see a section that you can walk up. So it allows extra counterplay, like I was talking about, where characters that want to quickly sneak up and dive on characters like Zaku 2 can go ahead and do that without having to just walk only across this bridge. Meanwhile, characters that like playing that sort of in a playstyle like GM Sniper 2 are perfectly fine to play like that. So lots of flexibility. I like what I'm seeing so far from these maps. Yeah. Continuing onward. There's not too much more of this. It's just starting to show where you can start going into a room where there's a building. I would assume that this is where one of the objective points is, right after this. The clips are right about to end, but that's what we have for this area. Nice big open area into a building. Moving on to the next section. This is defending point B. We have, as you can see in the top here, there's a blue bar which shows that you are on defense. And so the enemies are exiting a room. I would assume, now that I'm looking at this, that the clip we just saw was attacking point A, and that these caves that they're coming out of, the enemy team is where the objective was before. And it's sort of a base built into the mountainside. So there's nice cover here. This is an interesting little snake passageway. It seems like you can travel on the left side too. Gundam Evolution has an interesting thing so far of having a lot of maps that have a lot of little interesting corridors and things, which is okay. I personally don't 100% prefer it. We'll see how it actually feels in gameplay, but and especially how teams will play around it. Might require a lot of extra information about talking about where the enemy team is, because you can't see them as well. So moving further through this clip, the Turn A Gundam is going through this same exact type of clip, pops his ult, does an insane amount of damage below, and that's that. This here is defending point B. So this, I would assume, is this is over here from this perspective, right here, where directly behind the Turn A Gundam is likely the same wall as this wall right here. So this is attacking point B, as you can see, because now it is the red team attacking. So there's not much for this gameplay clip, just shows this, but like I said, still lots of nice open areas. You can jump over these things. A lot of characters can do that, such as Ashimar and Sazabi. So lots of flexibility. I really am positive with what they've been putting out recently with these new 3, actually 4 maps. All right, guys, moving on to the second map, we have Lunar Comm Station. It is a domination map. This is point A of this domination map. So you can see here before this Sazabeat absolutely destroys this GM that they are standing directly on the point. It looks like it's in a half outdoor, half indoor kind of area. As you can see the light coming in from above. I would suspect that there's areas you can stand on top of this, and this might be the bottom section of the objective. In this game, you can often stand on both the top and the bottom of an objective to be contesting it. So that's likely what's occurring here. Moving on to the next part of it, like I said, absolutely destroys this guy. It is an outdoor map in general, and it's also a nighttime map. Okay, so this is actually directly behind where we just saw. You can see in this clip here that this Saku is fighting against this Barbatos, but there is behind it the objective A. You can't actually see it, but it does get you a feel for the rest of the map is like. You have these little, you have those things towards the edge of the map on the right side that show that you can't go any further. These artificial barriers. You have a high ground to the left, which I would assume leads onto the top of the objective, and just various pathways all around. All right, so here's the better gameplay clip of point C. You have this Ashimar flying in, contesting the enemy standing on the high ground. In actual gameplay, this high ground is going to be the best place to stand and the best place to control on this map. In addition to these choke points that I will show you in a second. The enemy will be oftentimes forced to just walk onto the point if you're standing up there, and they will die as you destroy them before they can even capture it. And especially in a time like overtime, they'll be forced to do that, so it's really, really, really powerful. But yes, there's one high ground here, and then you have these 2 low grounds that enemies can pass through. The low ground here leads to objective B. They seem to be pretty close together. And behind that is A, which we showed earlier. Nothing else really special about this. There's a couple ways to enter. It's, like I said, quite open, which I prefer, but it just forces you to play more intelligently around it. And there you have it. Moving on to objective B, which is directly behind what clip we just saw. Here's a clip of Sazabi just ulting really quick, nothing much. Get killed, but here's a better look at it. The map does seem to have changed a little bit because this is also an older gameplay section, but it is actually still the same map here. So looking at this, you have your objective in the middle of the map here. Lots of little areas of cover, lots of low ground. This is an interesting little one here. The cover is good, but it's not super good because they're all very flat, and the cover is either horizontal and vertical. There's no in between, so there's less flexibility in regards to that. But still an interesting little open map. You can see in the back there's a high ground. I would assume there's going to be a high ground on the other side too, because every map in these sort of maps is mirrored. And that could be a place that like a GM sniper could play in, where you'd have to go contest it. Very interesting little section of this map, and good to see these sorts of maps be more open, particularly for the domination, because the other domination map that is currently in the game is very closed off, and the dominant strategy on that would be just to play really close range characters and just group up and run it down. All right, guys, moving on to the next map, which is Quarry. It is a demolition map. I really like the look of this map. It looks really pretty to me, and also looks nice and open, and also has a nice cover on it, like I talked about, being a good sign for maps. Let's see how it goes. So here you have, I think this is about the second section of the map, as you'll see later on why I think that. But there's a mid section here, and then all the way at the end there is a objective where you need to plant a bomb and destroy it. But yeah, like I was saying, good open space here, where you have characters like this Ashimar flying above contesting it, but you have the Dom Trooper capable of using this cover to protect himself for a moment before he ults and runs into the enemy team and does some pushing around of the enemy. Right in the side there is where either the bomb is, or that's where the first little capture point is. On every demolition map, there's a capture point you have to capture first to initiate the bomb coming up. It's a little like half capture point. It's just a little extra thing they added to it. So this might actually be that capture point. It actually does look like it is, so this might be the beginning of the map here. But moving on to the other section of it, here we have our Pale Rider ulting, and you can see in the top right there's a Ashimar up there damaging, so there's a nice little high ground access point, and it looks like it drops down into this room over here. I'm not sure if that's a whole nother area that you could, where an objective is, or if it's just an alternate path, which is also always nice to have alternate paths in the games, let you play towards different play styles. But as I was saying, nice and open. Now the enemies will wish they had been using the cover better, because this Hades ultimate is about to destroy all of them here. Very, very powerful ultimate, by the way. But as you can see deep down there, it looks like at the end of the map there, I was thinking it was another portion of the map, but since this is actually the area that you initiate the map from when you capture that objective, it looks like that's a spawn zone, and they just walked out of it. But otherwise, very pretty map. I like the variety. And here you have exactly one of these points to capture. This looks like the second set of capture points, because there's a check mark or second set of demolition points, because there's a check mark right there, which means they blew up the first one, I believe. I like the look of this. It's there's just a lot of interesting flexibility around the map, and it's interesting about the way that these maps work is that they have 2 different bombs you can go to, which means you have to play around that and have to pay attention to where the enemy's going and how you're going to play for that, and whether you're going to, what you can expect them to play based on what they're playing. So very, very unique game type here, with a steep high ground there too. That changes things up if the enemy tries to path through that. You can stand up on this little stone high ground on the right side here and just blow them up as they walk through. So really, really interesting things that you can do here. All right, guys, moving on to this secret map. I originally thought this was the same map as Lunar Comm Station, but this on the right here is actually the first point for the demolition map. So you will see it's actually quite a different map. It's an interesting little map. So we'll just take a look at it here. Like I said on the right, it looks like they're actually defending it here. I'm not quite sure if they're defending it or if they're attacking it. Interesting little high ground here that this Metis flies onto, and there's some rooms on the left. It looks like there's also another building on the right here. I also like the design of the background. It kind of shakes it up a little bit. You got this interesting looking, I don't know what that is, but it's interesting with those lights in the background. And then it looks like there's some sort of protective dome around this area. So it looks like some sort of outpost base in the moon, I would assume. So really cool looking thing. Let's them change them up a little bit. Moving on to the next section. Here you'll see the first instance of the bomb here. This bomb here is actually the destruction point. It looked like a capture point map to me, or a or the King of the Hill type game type, but it's actually a demolition map. And here you have the kind of thing that I was talking about before, where you have these nice open areas above the objective where enemies can stand, and they can also play on the bottom. So lots of verticality, lots of flexibility. It's also very good for a character like Barbatos that has a very powerful capability to attack enemies from the high ground when it has the advantage. And on the right, there's also sort of high ground here. You can probably stand on top of these rocks nearby. Maybe potentially you can, or you might slide off. But regardless, there's some bullets coming in from the right side over here from this Ashimar. It looks like. Never mind, those are funnels. But interesting little section of this here. If you're looking for more Gundam Evolution content, then make sure to check out my 6 mobile suit guides that I have put in this playlist right here. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I really appreciate it, and I hope you guys have a good day.